So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make your teacher welcome video without having to use a webcam. And there's a lot of reasons that one would want to use this option. It's just a flexible way to get it done using tools that many of you have already or you're probably mostly familiar with. And if you're not familiar with any of them, this video should show you quickly how you could become familiar. Okay, so the three tools I'm going to use, and this is really geared towards PC users, because the one problem with what I'm talking about here for Mac users is this detail of exporting as a WAV file. The Mac platform does not appreciate WAV files because I think it actually stands for Windows Audio and Video. So it's very much a Windows friendly thing. And so because of that one detail, I would make a different recommendation to Mac users, and that would be that you actually just open up iMovie and you do your video there. And you can do this same kind of video there. If you need help, let me know, because I can make a tutorial and show you how. Alright, so PC users. We've got to get Audacity open. We're going to actually record the teacher welcome in audio there, and we're going to export it as a WAV file. So I'm going to talk you through all the steps, and then we're going to do it very quickly. The second thing we'll do is open up PowerPoint, and we'll create a slide that we're going to want to have displayed while our audio is playing. So when that student or parent is listening to that video or watching it, watching it, they're going to see one slide that stays up the whole time. It's not going to be a super active type of presentation. It's going to be pretty static in terms of the visuals. It's just the audio that's going to be kind of rolling along. And then we're going to open up Windows Live Movie Maker. We're going to slide, oh, I didn't say, on the PowerPoint step, we're going to create that slide and we're going to save it as a JPEG file. So that's an image file, not a PowerPoint file. If you save it as a PowerPoint and you try to throw it into MovieMaker, you won't succeed and you'll wonder why. And it's because it has to be in an acceptable format, and a JPEG is acceptable to Windows Live Movie Maker. Then we're going to go into Windows Live Movie Maker. We're going to slide each of these items in, the audio file and the image file, and then we're going to make them have the same length. And so I'll show you how to do that. And then I'm going to show you how to save it, because saving is very important. It's sort of finishing the job. If you don't do that properly, then you might be stuck with a Windows Live Movie Maker project file, which you can't really do anything with that. So you have to save it to an appropriate format, then you can publish it to the web. In Windows Live Movie Maker, you can actually bypass the saving step and actually go straight to publishing to the web. I usually don't do that. I usually like to save, kind of breathe between steps. I don't just kind of cut corners like that, because my fear is, what if you're publishing it and then something crashes and you lose your little video. So I say take the time, save it, then upload it. But you could also take the time to save it, and then inside of Windows Live Movie Maker you can actually use the publishing feature there as well. Okay, and you have to publish, of course, have to have credentials on an online publishing site. We have one in this class, the YouTube credentials of Love Me Some Technology, and the password is MEDT3401. So you're welcome to use that if you don't have a YouTube account. Use that if you like. I do control that channel, that login, so it could be that someday your video gets deleted. If that's a concern, then you probably want to get your own YouTube account. I probably won't delete. I never delete anything, but it could happen. And finally, if you don't have Windows Live Movie Maker, then you can actually download it. If you just Google download Windows Live Movie Maker, you can go to the download page, and it looks something like this. And it's free to PC users. And then I guess Mac users could technically download it if they have a dual boot system where they run PC on one side. But it normally comes on pretty recently manufactured PCs. Again, if it doesn't, just download it. And then some of you are going to have an older version of Movie Maker, and I'm actually going to show you the step 3 in the old version of Movie Maker once I've done this. So if you need to see the older one, stick around. I'll show you that too. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's do the Audacity recording. I'm going to put you on pause because you've learned how to record in Audacity already. And if you don't remember anything about Audacity, you can go to podcastworkshopwiki.wesco.edu. You can download there. You can learn how to use it. If you are already familiar with Windows Live Movie Maker, you're also probably aware that you can actually record audio inside of MovieMaker itself. So you know, you can skip this step, but to me sometimes it's easier just to do it on the outside. That's the way I'll show you today. If you find an easier way to do any of this, you pick that easy route, okay? Alright, so in Audacity, I'm going to pause you while I make my recording. So I made a 43-second audio, you know, recording in Audacity. I'm not even going to save it. You could save it, you know, you could go to File, Save Project As, and save it first. That would be safe to do that. I'm going to skip that step and go straight to exporting it because I'm feeling reckless, I suppose. I hit export. I'm going to save it as a wave. I'm going to call it testing. The metadata editor opens up. I don't need to edit the metadata. I say OK. Now I can get rid of this. Actually, I'm going to minimize it just in case I need it again. OK. And here is my file that I just made. OK. So that's step 1. Step 2, in PowerPoint, you need to create a slide that you want to display while your audio is playing. So I'm going to go ahead and open up PowerPoint. So in PowerPoint, I've quickly fashioned a slide which is, again, this is just an example. This is not the ideal example that you would do. If you were to make a welcome video, what would you want, and you only had one slide, what would you want to have on that slide? Would you want to have an image of some kind? You'd probably want to have the name of the course, perhaps the semester. Maybe that's not necessary to put the date on it because, honestly, in online teaching, anytime you can reuse things, that's a good thing. And so putting dates on things when you don't have to is actually discouraged in online teaching. So you don't have to necessarily put the date, but I always do it because I generally make new videos for everything, except for tutorials. Anyway, so here's just a quick example. This example could be improved upon. I don't like the way all the text is on the bottom, for example. There's a lot of wasted space up here, although white space is good, but I feel like for a video where you're trying to give information, be welcoming, this slide is lacking, but you guys know how to do PowerPoint, so I'm going to challenge you to improve on my example here. So again, maybe an image could be, I honestly wouldn't use this template for starters. I would probably go with a blank template and just put words and you know, use text, insert text, and maybe get one fresh image and just use some simple color and design and some good space between the text and not a lot of fonts or anything, but I'd put my name and probably the semester and the name of the class and maybe a short list of the main points of the video, but not necessary. Okay, so you guys can decide on that. Point is, I've made my PowerPoint slide. I haven't saved it yet though, so I'm going to go to File, because if you remember what I said earlier, in the PowerPoint we actually want to save it as a JPEG file. Now, you could save it as the PowerPoint also. That's the safe way to do things. That way you can always come back in and edit it, because once it becomes a JPEG, it's sort of etched in stone, and the only way to edit it is to actually go back to PowerPoint and edit in PowerPoint. So that's the advantage of actually taking the time to save it. So I'm going to skip that step. I'm just going to go straight to File, Save As. Save as type is going to be JPEG, but it is down there, so I need to move this up so you can see. See how I'm clicking Save as Type, and then I want to select JPEG. PNG would probably work too, but I'm just going to stick with what I know for now. JPEG, it's called English 1101. I'll put it on my desktop so I know where to find it, and I'll hit Save. Now it opens up this thing. It wants to know, do you want to export every slide or only the current slide? You could say either one. What every slide does is it puts all of the slides into a folder on your desktop, whereas current slide only selects the slide that you're on, and obviously in this case there is only one slide, and since I don't need to have it in a folder, I'm just going to pick that. Current slide only. Okay, so my PowerPoint is, I see it popped up here. I'll show you. So there's my PowerPoint slide. I've got my audio and I've got my visual. Now I have to go over to Windows Live Movie Maker and slide these things in. Earlier today when I was trying to slide the audio, I couldn't slide any audio in And I was like, oh no, it won't take a WAV file, but no, it likes to have the visual first, and then you can slide the audio in. Okay, so instead of dropping it here or here or here, I'm going to slide it all the way to the left so that this line, see how these lines combine? That way the audio starts with the visual. So okay, so the next thing is, what is going to dictate the length of your video? Well, it's the audio that dictates the length. It's not the slide. The slide could show for 10 seconds or 10 hours. It's really the audio that's sort of the driver of your message and the driver of how long your message is. So the question is, how long is this audio file? If you hover over it, we can see that it is 43 seconds and 24 hundredths of a second. So it's good to write that down and not think that is not 43 minutes. That is 43 seconds, so 43.24 seconds. I'm actually writing that down on a piece of paper in front of me because what I want to do is make the visual, see how its duration, if I hover here, its duration is only 7 seconds. So what I want to do is actually increase its duration to 43.24. So let's see how we do that. I'm going to double click it. And if double clicking doesn't work, try triple or quadruple clicking. But eventually, if you click it enough, it should take you to Video Tools, Edit, and open up Duration. So here we should be able to put in the exact time of 43.24. 43.24. And I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so now you can see the visual has expanded, and it's also allowing the audio to expand, because I believe the way it was before, like this, I believe the way it would work is if you played it, it would only play for the first 7 seconds, because the visual. Hello and welcome to this semester of English 1101. I'm very excited to be working. The visual, even though it's, like I was saying earlier, it's not really the driver of your message, but in MovieMaker, it's the driver of the message in a sense, because if you only have 7 seconds of visual material, that's all that you're going to hear the audio for. The audio gets shortened. So I'm going to go back to what I had. Okay, there we go. Because we've expanded that visual of this English 1101 slide, we can also now fully hear our audio. We could probably shorten the visual slightly. You see how the audio is probably about just a tiny fraction of a second shorter. It may not be, though. Actually, I'm not sure that it is. I think that they probably show exactly. It would be timed just right. But anyway, I will stop there. I don't want to get too deep into MovieMaker here. We don't really need to know much more than that. We just need to make sure you time them the same length of time. All right, so let's talk about saving. Saving. All right, so if you go to File, now we don't want to save, okay, to be safe, you would save your project. If this is a project you're working on, you would say Save Project As, and it would let you save it as a Windows Live MovieMaker project, WLMP. And that would let you edit this project. You could edit the elements in this project. You could change the timing, you could add effects, do all that kind of stuff. But just because my point here is to show you how to turn it into a movie, we're going to actually we're going to skip that safe step, and we're going to go straight to Save Movie. And we want to go to Save, and I would say Save for Computer. And I think Recommended would also get us the same thing. Let's see, I'm reading the fine text. I'm going to try Save for Computer first. All right, and so it's going to save it as a type, which is WMV, which is great. I'm just going to call it Test, and I'm going to hit Save. And then it takes a little while to export it. Okay, and then it says it's done. You can play it and look at it. You could open the folder it's located inside of. I'll do that. So there it is down there, and then you can actually take a WMV file and upload that to YouTube, for example. Another feature inside of Windows MovieMaker is to publish. So you could say publish, and you could actually publish it to a number of different locations. To me, I actually want to make sure I save it at some point. I like to save somehow before I publish. That's just a rule I've learned as someone that publishes at least 5 videos a week. It's worth it to save it at some point so that you don't lose everything. So because I saved the final product here, I'm content, and I could then publish. So you could actually save it to your desktop just as a backup, and then you could go to publish and try that. Or you could go open up YouTube through the web browser and actually upload it from your computer up to YouTube. Okay, so that is what I want to show you. That's pretty much where I stop. Mac users, I'm sure you're not with me any longer, but if you are, let me know if you need help sort of emulating this on the Mac side of things. And I also promised that I would show you the same thing in Windows MovieMaker 2.6. So let's go ahead and look at this old version. This is just for people that have this version and they don't want to use the newer version. Okay. I'll pause you while I get this cleaned up. Okay. So I've got MovieMaker open now. I had to make a new collection folder for my stuff, so I've got it. It's called testing. Let me say one thing here. When I work in MovieMaker, I like to view. You can view the tasks. Normally I use the tasks. I have that open, but you can also view collections, at least when you're first setting things up. So I would have collections showing. So you have this little viewing pane, and then you might need to create yourself a new folder for the collection you're working with here. So my collection I've titled it testing, so that it can hold my audio here. There's my audio, and here's my visual image. And then so you have it inside of your collection. Now I can go back to tasks. And we don't need to import anything else. That when I dragged and dropped those items, that was the importing step or the capturing step. So I'm going to shut that because I don't need that anymore at this point. The next thing you have to do is drag your elements down here. So there goes my visual, and here is my audio. And if I drop it here, it's going to start at 43 seconds. I want to put it at the beginning as well. So now I see, in order to match up I'm going to go ahead and shut this because I don't need that. In order to match up my visual with my audio, I actually need to lengthen the visual. So I can click here one time, left click. Then I come to this edge till I get the double red arrow. I drag this to match that, and it's good to go now. They will play for the exact same amount of time, and I can test it and listen, and that's great. So now let's talk about saving it. We've edited the movie, and let's pretend that I've listened to it and viewed it, and it looks great. From this point, we can hit save to my computer, and that'll make us a file. So let's call it Old MovieMaker Movie. I'm saving it to the desktop, but if I don't want to save it there, you can browse here and put it on the desktop or wherever you want. Hit next, and then you can say show more choices. If I just stick with best quality for playback on my computer, it will do the default of WMV, which is just fine, but if you want, you can click this. Try other settings, do the drop down, and you can, well, it's actually kind of confusing because it doesn't really tell you what the types are. Let's see. Actually, it does in this way. Look, if I hit Pocket PC, it'll tell me the file type, and it tells you all these details about it. So it does. If there's something else you want, that's how you do it. You go to other settings. But I like to go with best quality for playback. So the estimated, it gives some information there. There's your WMV file. And just click next. And for a longer video than this, it might take a couple of minutes. Okay. I'll go ahead and click finish so we can have the satisfaction of seeing this movie. Hello and welcome to this semester of English 1101. I'm very excited to be working with you. Alright, so there's the movie. Again, I would have used a different, image, different information displayed a little differently, a little more friendly-like than that. It looks kind of, I don't know, institutional, and, I don't know, cold, I guess. So that's how you do that. Let me just check my notes and make sure I've covered everything. All right, so that's plenty of, I think that's plenty of information about how you do that. I will add one more thing though. You can record straight into MovieMaker, but since I haven't really taught that yet because we haven't done our digital movie, I didn't think it was worth it to go into a lot of detail on how you do that, but it's actually quite user-friendly in both of the movie makers. Here you use narrate timeline, and you start your narration, you record it, and then you actually have to save it as a separate file on your computer, and that's a little bit confusing, but that's how that works. I'm going to go look on the Windows Live and see what that looks like. So this is kind of interesting, but I'm looking for the audio recording on this movie, Windows Live Movie Maker, and I don't believe that my version of Windows Live Movie Maker actually has narration, but I am certain that other Windows Live Movie Makers do. In fact, I'm going to pause you and I'm going to uninstall this version because this is from 2010 when this program first came out, and I could swear at that time that it did not use audio, but I've since learned that this program does, and I think that this early version just didn't come with it, and you actually had to record your audio on the outside. So I'm going to reinstall it and see if I can't find the recording feature. But again, this video is pretty much over. I'm just kind of playing and going through a few extra details here at the end. Well, I've done a few things for about 10 minutes trying to install the new Movie Maker, but it's going to require a reboot of my computer to make it all work, so I can't actually show you in this video. But I do know for a fact, because I just remember, that Windows Live Movie Maker does it does allow you to record narration directly into it now, but I have also learned through online search that the old version indeed did not, so I'm not totally crazy. I think that's part of why I've felt crazy, like I don't know how to use Live Movie Maker, because on the one hand I could swear that you could not record narration, and that was true in my version of the program, but then I would go look at like the version at my house, I think, or the one on my laptop, and then I was like, oh, you can record narration. Why didn't I see this before? And it's because it wasn't on my office computer version that I've been looking at. So anyway, you can do that, but what I showed you will also work. All right, enough talking. Good luck. Let me know how